3, 2, 1.
All right, all right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelsey Maynor. I'm here from Invest Atlanta. And we're going to do our webinar series. This is the first one we had this year, 2025. So we're super excited to bring you guys resources. We like to bring all the needs for your small business to grow. We're trying to make sure we bring it here and we put it right in front of you so you can access it. And that's really our priority right now is make sure you have the information and the know-how and the connections to do what you need to do to be the best business you can be for the city of Atlanta. Now, if you don't know what Invest Atlanta is the economic development arm of the city of Atlanta. And so we work in a myriad of spaces, but a lot of you hear about us from our housing side, where we are working with developers to create affordable housing for the city of Atlanta. But we also have the economic side, where we're working with businesses from business attraction, attracting business into the city, major headquarters, international business. Then we have business retention, where we're working with our small to medium-sized businesses that are growing, saying, "Hey, I'm ready to franchise," or maybe I'm looking at other cities and I'm trying to figure out how do I what are the resources I can use to stay here in Atlanta? How do I grow right here in the city? And then for our small business that are growing up, that are coming out of the co-working spaces, these Pittsburgh yards, these gathering spots, these switch yards, places like that, and say, I'm trying to move into an office space. I'm trying to get my business growing and thriving. But what we know here at InvestLand, the first step that we need to do once your business gets rooted here in the city of Atlanta, you must access and get your City of Atlanta business license. And so a lot of the resources that we have from loan and grant programs, any of the funding that we operate with here at Invest Atlanta requires that is one of our prerequisites that you are registered with the state and you're registered here in the City of Atlanta as a City of Atlanta business. And so we understand from some feedback that maybe you didn't know about the City of Atlanta business license. I don't even, how do I get to it? Where do I go for that? And how do I fill out the information for it? And so rather than me sitting here trying to answer those questions, I brought our city partners. And so we have Natasha White here from the Office of Revenue.
Yes.
That oversees the business licenses for the city. And so we'll be going through a presentation to walk you through step by step how to find the business license application, how to apply, what documents you need, and the timelines you need to know in order to be compliant here in the city of Atlanta. Natasha, what's going on? How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So good to see you, Kelsey. Thank you for the invite once again. Hi, I'm Natasha White, and I'm with the City of Atlanta Business License Division, which we call it Business Occupational Tax. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through how to register and submit your application for a new business license and how to renew and how to pay an invoice. Okay, you ready to get started?
We're ready to go. Oh,
Okay.
I do have some house rules before we start. You're right. House rules. Listen, we're going to go through the entire presentation. If you have questions, you can use the Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom link. Use the Q&A section to put your questions in. So if you already have questions, go ahead and put them in there, and we'll make sure we address all the questions at the end of the presentation. But also know that our presentation may very well answer some of your questions. So just look out for it. And if I see a question that we are answering currently, I'll just mark it as answered. But you can use the Q&A kind of as a chat to put your questions in there, but we will address them at the end. To answer some other questions you may have, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. This is being recorded, and it will be emailed to you. If you register, it will be emailed to you probably by Friday, so you can actually go back and review the presentation yourself, the whole recording, and then it will be posted on our social media and our YouTube page. So if you go to Invest Atlanta on YouTube, you can find all the videos of all the webinars we've had. Now we're ready to go.
Okay. Okay. The first slide is how to access Inagov. Okay, here, sorry, excuse me. Here you're gonna, when you start, you're gonna have to log in and register your email address so you may be able to obtain an account. Okay, so once you get to the first screen, everything that's highlighted in an arrow is going to be a step-by-step process. It's so easy you would not be able to fail because this will direct you. Okay, so right here you're going to log in and register. Log in or register. I'm sorry. Here you're gonna get to, one second. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. Okay, once you get into Intergov, the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna register an email and password. If you need to register, you sign up at the bottom. If you will receive an email confirmation and activate your account. If you've already have an account and you've forgotten your password, you're gonna come back to the same screen and click Forgot Password and to reset your password. And you will receive an email to reset that password. Okay, to get started, you're gonna go to pre-zoning check. The pre-zoning check will identify your address and see if you are actually in the city of Atlanta. For new business, you just click apply. If you're gonna be renewing your business license, you're gonna click renew license. And if you're gonna pay an invoice, you're gonna pay and enter the INV number. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move this out the way so you can see. Okay. Apply for a new business license. The first thing you're gonna do once you get into the system, you're gonna type in search box of the type of business that you have, whether it's retail, a food establishment, a hair salon, whichever the case may be, you type it in this particular search engine here. And once you hit the type of business that you have, it's gonna bring up this screen here. It's gonna look something like this. It's gonna say general business license. And this one here is a retail trade. So you just hit the little blue button that says apply.
Ooh. I'm sorry. I got a
That's
question.
okay.
First question is
Yes.
right here. So when we're kind of signifying what type of business we have, what if it's not clear? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of what wouldn't be clear, but
Mhm.
how do we ensure that? How do we ensure that we're selecting the right thing? On if we can't find a specific business entity, what do we do?
Okay, most everything is labeled here. If not, just choose other services. Like I say, depending on what type of business it is, okay? It just depends on what type of business, but majority of all the business are located here. Okay. Okay, once you get to the next screen, you're going to select your company type. If you are a corporation, a general partnership, a limited liability company, a nonprofit, or sole proprietorship. Also, when doing this, make sure you have actual registered with the Secretary of State, especially if you're LLC. The next screen, you're going to make a selection and add your business location. This to make the pre-zoning will actually guide you to let you know if your business is actually in the city of Atlanta. Okay, here, when you get to the next screen, this person here has chosen a company type, their LLC. All the blocks that has the asterisk by it is a required field. So the first one, you're going to enter company name and your business description. Please be very detailed with your business description. You don't have to write a whole paragraph, but just if you're not working in your house, but you want to use that address as your business address, make sure that you put in that admin office only, and then describe your business, the nature of your business. Okay. Then you're going to come down to the next section where it says select location, whether it's residential or commercial. The next screen is to select the industry classification. And the hyperlink here, you can click on that and it will actually tell you what your industry classification is, okay? The next block is gonna be enter description, detail, business operation. And the last box is very important. That is entering your gross receipts. If you're starting out, you probably haven't done anything, but you're gonna project. If not, make sure you just put $1 in that screen. You cannot put a 0. Okay. Here,
How accurate should this projection be? Like if I say my first year I made $250,000 and I only make $50,000, like what?
mhm.
what is?
It's gonna true up next year. It's gonna true up next year when you actually provide your financial documentation, what you actually made. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about that on the renewal side. Okay. Okay. Okay, here you're going to enter the contact names, the information for business point of contact. If you have more than one person, please make sure you add their contact name, because if they come to the window and they want information on this account, we're not going to give that information because they're not a entity on the account. Okay. Okay, our new business must answer no to this question. Have you received a zoning approval? Some people will go in and say, I live in the city of Atlanta, where you may not be in the city, but just make sure you check no, because you haven't been zoned. We do that here at the city of Atlanta. Okay, on the next screen, you're gonna actually put in your gross receipts. And this is the number should include all revenue from the date of opening to December the 31st of that year. So if you start a business February the 1st, from February the 1st until the end of the year, this year, you got to estimate what you think you're gonna profit. Okay. And the next one, you're gonna be the number of employee. You cannot use a 0. If you're the only person, then you will have to put the number 1. Okay. And the previous employees list, it would be 0 for all new businesses. Okay. That has nothing to do with new businesses. And the next line would be enter your gross receipt again. So whatever you put in number at the top, you're going to put it at the bottom. Okay. Then you're going to select the type of business, or your for profit or your nonprofit. Okay. And if you're a nonprofit, you must also submit a 501(c)(3) from our Internal Revenue Service stating that you are a nonprofit business. Okay, here on the next screen, it's going to ask you, are you an exempt from E-Verify? 10 employees or less, you are exempt. If exempt, you enter 0. If more than 10 employees, enter the E-Verify number. We have to report that to the federal government. Okay. Okay, on the next slide, you're going to upload all signed and notarized documents in your ID. For all new business, you're going to have to have a saved affidavit and an E-Verify, and you also have to have a government issue ID. Your license or your passport cannot be expired. It has to be current. Almost at the end, then you're just going to type your name and you're going to click next. Then you can actually verify all the details, and then you're going to click submit, and then it will generate you a GBL number, which means that you have completed the process of a new business application. Do you want to wait for question and answers to the very end, Kelsey, or you want to go over anything for the new business?
Let's look at some questions real quick. Okay. Nope, we're renewing here. There's a couple I want to answer. Some of them I'll save to the end because I feel like the answer we'll answer these questions. But it says, can you have a PO box in the city of Atlanta and still qualify to get a city of Atlanta business license?
No, absolutely cannot. And you cannot use like the UPS stores and things like that. It has to be a physical address. If I can come to your physical address, then you're good to go.
Just said, well, what if your business is online and not in a building?
Well, do you have a city of Atlanta address? There are some addresses that the zoning department will approve, but you just have to put that address in, then we will let you know whether that's yay or nay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Natasha. This is Katina. I'm sitting listening.
Hey, Katina.
I wanted to be here to support you through this process tonight.
Okay.
Just to talk about those businesses that are operating online, Your business address can be anywhere in the United States. It doesn't necessarily have to be within the city of Atlanta, but you do have to have a city of Atlanta business license if you're going to be doing business in the city. So we do have out-of-state businesses that are registered with the Georgia Secretary of State office that has local business licenses in the city of Atlanta.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's say, is a business license needed for a home-based travel-based business?
Yes. Yes, you will have to have an address. Katina, can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes, you will have, if you're generating revenues or have an employee that is operating in the city of Atlanta, you do have to have a city of Atlanta business license. So although you might be in travel agency, the city of Atlanta address will be like your home office that you're operating out of. So you would have to have that license.
I want to save the rest of these questions for later.
Okay.
I do, because we're gonna sit here and ask all these questions, and I feel like once we dig in a little more, they'll get answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
All right.
renewing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. And
No,
the next slide is renewing a business license. Okay, once you come to this page on the portal, you can see the arrow being pointed to the renew or existing businesses only. When you get to click my work and select my license and renew, you can see the arrow that's pointing to the blue link here. You can just press renew and you can actually go in and renew your license at that time. Your license type and business description will automatically populate here. And on this page here, the original estimated receipt will populate into your reported receipt from the prior year. The value cannot be zero again. You will have to put an amount in this field. Allowed deduction should remain zero. Actual gross receipts will auto-populate. Estimated receipts will also auto-populate. And here, you will choose to screen once again, yes, no, 10 employees or less are exempt. If exempt, enter zero. If more than 10 employees, enter the e-verify number. Okay, here, once you get here, upload any signed and notarized documents and ID. If you do not currently have those items attached to your account when you renew, we ask you to submit a saved affidavit and e-verify and also a government issue ID. Please make sure that the license are not expired.
Natasha, I just want to elaborate here a little bit because
Okay.
we are missing the piece as far as the financial documents go.
Yeah.
So the requirement now for submitting renewals, we require that you provide a financial document when you submit the renewal. Where she was talking about the gross receipts and the gross revenue must match the financial document that you provide. So just make sure those all three of those fields where you're entering gross revenue, that it aligns with whatever financial document you are providing with your renewal. The three acceptable forms of documentation would be the profit and loss statement, income statement, or your prior year federal tax returns, full tax returns.
Yes, is that just federal, that's state and federal?
Federal and state, and any schedules that are attached as well.
Correct. Okay.
Now with the profit and loss statement, I should wait for the end. The profit and
No,
loss,
go ahead.
does it need to be, can it be the one that the company is creating themselves, or is it has to be verified by somebody?
It can be, because we recognize that most businesses have not submitted their, have not completed their tax returns for the prior year at the time of our renewal season. So in lieu of the tax return, we would accept a profit and loss and income statement, whether it's generated by the business owner or by your financial institution or an accountant. We just need to make sure that you're providing financials for the business and that it aligns with the information that you're entering during your application process.
Thank you.
Kelsey, if I could jump in, this is Michelle. We should probably get to the questions at the very end since we're at halfway mark and we still have lots of questions coming in based on what we've learned thus far. So if we can just ask everybody to pack their patience and we'll get to the questions at the end of the presentation.
Okay. And once you get to this screen here, you just click submit for your renewals. Now we're going to show you how to go in and pay an invoice. When you get back to the home screen on the ATL Core, you will click pay invoice, and the arrow is showing you where to go to click on that field. Well, yeah, once you click on that field to pay, it will ATL Core will auto issue your invoice via your email that's registered. Here at the top where it says pay invoices, enter your number exactly as it is on the invoice, and all of them begins with INV, all capital, dash, and the preceding numbers afterwards. And once you put in the invoice number, only thing you're gonna do is click pay now to pay and to print the invoice here on the print screen. Pay now screen, I'm sorry. And here's where you will actually enter all of your information. If you're paying by credit card, and once your payment is made, ATL Core will email you receipt and your business license. Also here, if you don't want to pay online, you're more than welcome to come into our office and pay if you have the invoice number, or you can pay by check at the windows as well. Credit card, Tina, is the credit card at the window now, or is it just still check?
We accept checks, credit cards, and cash at the window now.
Okay.
If you're going to mail in a check, just make sure you send in a copy of the invoice to ensure that it's applied to the correct account.
Yes. Okay, there are some pretty significant changes coming to the Office of Revenue renewal process. Updates to the new business license application. We have already discussed that in the beginning, but I will go over them now. Complete the pre-zoning check to make sure that your business is in the city of Atlanta. You must complete your application in the ATL Core portal online on the online portal. Nothing is done in-house. Upload all required documents, the notarized say affidavits, notarized E-Verify affidavits, your valid government issue ID, driver license or passport, and all applicable regulatory permits. Okay, and changes to the renewal applications, financial documents will be required for all renewals. Complete your 2024 federal and Georgia state tax returns, or your 2024 profit and loss statement, which is also known as a P&L, or your 2024 income statements. No affidavit required, no say affidavit required, no E-Verify affidavit required unless your number of employee has changed. And this is our office. We're located at 55 Trinity, Atlanta, Georgia. We're in suite 1350. If you have any additional information, you may contact ATL 311. And their phone number is 404-546-0311. And our hours of operation is Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This concludes our presentation. Now we will open the floor up to any questions. So Katina, if you have anything you would like to add before the questions.
I do not. I think we're in a good place right now.
Okay.
So for clarity, you said there's some new information is going out this year that is no longer called the City of Atlanta business license, but it's called the business occupational tax certificate.
Yes, that's
Yes.
what it's always been. If anyone has taken the time to look at their certificate, it says occupational tax. We just affectionately refer to it as business
Business
license.
license, yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, clarity is necessary.
Yes.
All right. So I see hands raised, but you can just put your questions in the chat. I'm going to go question by question. All right. Rapid fire. It's like a game show. Thank you, number one, for the president. Ask questions to the people who have the answers is the key to life. So the first question is, how do I recover a dissolved business? I did not pay the fee to renew my business license. I did not complete the steps to get my business license through the city of Atlanta. I complete my steps to register with the Secretary of State already. And so now I'm trying to renew a dissolved business, I suppose.
So there's your sound just kind of got away from us, but I think I was able to capture it all, Kelsey. So you did not renew dissolved businesses. If you went through the process of doing or completing a final close on your business, you have to apply for a new general business license. Something's
right,
happening, Kelsey. You're freezing and
Yeah, you're going in and
Yeah.
out, Kelsey.
Don't do that. Can you hear me? Why don't my video back on?
yes, I can hear
Yes, we
you.
can hear you.
Okay. So the answer to the question was you cannot apply for dissolved business. You have to renew, like you have to do a new business license.
Correct.
Okay. Next question is, what if the business address on our Secretary of State is our home address, but now we have an office space?
In that case, if you have an existing license, you can simply submit a change of address request through the ATL core portal, and we will process it and have the address updated on the business license, on the occupational tax certificate.
Yes. It's a mouthful. All right. So the answer was, if your address is different from the Secretary of State, that's not a problem. We understand that some businesses are registered in other states sometimes, and then they have a location here. So just use the address that's in the city of Atlanta that you already checked with pre-zoning, right?
Correct.
Make sure I know the answers. All right, cool. Next question is, can my company pull zoning permits if my business is not in Atlanta, but I live in Atlanta?
So
Can
if you're
zoning permits if my business is not in Atlanta, but I live in Atlanta?
if you have a business license in the state of Georgia, meaning that whatever your business is, you're registered in the state of Georgia, you can pull City of Atlanta permits using your existing business address, not having to have it in the city of Atlanta.
Okay. This one says, what if none of my revenue is from within the city of Atlanta, or if it is working with federal government? Are we saying the gross receipts is just what money I've made in the city of Atlanta, or my business is made in the city of Atlanta because this is where my address is for my business?
So that's a very good question, Kelsey, because if basically we will say if you're generating revenues in the city of Atlanta, right? However, some businesses only have one location in the state of Georgia. In those cases, we would ask that you report all of your Georgia revenue through your Atlanta business license. If you have multiple locations in the state of Georgia, of course, you will report specific to each location.
Got it. Does the number of employees include contractors, or is the employees just W-2 employees?
Employees is just W-2 employees, does not include contractors.
Got it. It says, does the state license have to be a Georgia driver's license?
It doesn't have to be a Georgia driver's license. It must be a government issued license.
I started my business last year in March. I did not generate any income last year. So what would be proof of income for me when I'm renewing?
You must still provide either an income statement, profit and loss statement, or the applicable tax return showing that you did not generate any revenue. So it's okay to provide a profit and loss or income statement that shows zero as your gross receipts.
Got it. I have a business in another state. How do I transfer that business?
That's a great question. I can't tell you how to transfer the business, but I can tell you that if you're going to operate the business in the city of Atlanta, you must register with the Georgia Secretary of State and you must apply for a City of Atlanta business license.
That's right. And so when you're doing with the state, we should probably do one with the state, how to do your incorporation. Doing with the state, there is a page on there that shows you how to transfer a business from one state to another. And that information is on the Secretary of State. It's at gasos.gov, I believe. Next question is, can I do this in person? I've tried online twice and I've gotten denied because of zoning, I think.
So we do ask that you not come and do it in person because we don't have laptops available in our office for use. However, if you go out to the ATL Core website, there on the toolbar, on the search bar, there's an area that's titled Helpful Guides. If you launch those guides, there are guides out there to help you walk through any piece of the ATL Core site that you might need to use. So please definitely use the guides that are available. But if you come to City Hall, we're going to tell you exactly what I'm telling you now. You have to submit the application online. Now, once the application has been submitted, of course, you're welcome to come into City Hall, walk that application through the process to get it expedited as you feel necessary, but you have to get it submitted on the ATL Core site first.
Right. This question says, in a situation where I am looking to get my business license for my food truck business, my address is currently at my home in Cumming, Georgia, but I intend to have a commissary kitchen in Atlanta, but I've yet to sign my lease for one. What address would I use in this case?
You would have to use the address and where you're going to be preparing the food. And you would have to have a food service permit for that address and then also one for your mobile vehicle.
All right, this question says, I created an account, but I cannot find my number. Is it required for the save affidavit? There's a field for business account number on the save affidavit.
So it is, if this is a new business, it's not required. You are able to leave the business license number blank on that document because you would not have had one at the time that you uploaded it for the application. However, if you need the business license number, you're welcome to inquire through the ATL 311 call center, create a ticket there, and we'll respond back with the required information. Or if you just want to come into City Hall and see our smiling faces, you're welcome to do that as well.
That's my favorite thing to do. Now it says, can the business be real estate investing as far as applying for a business license?
It can.
How about if your business is mobile?
If it's mobile, you still have to have an administrative address where where the home office for the business, meaning that you should have a location, a business location for that business. If you're mobile, you have to have a home office somewhere where you're going to be operating or doing the administrative roles of that business at.
This question says, what percentage of your gross sales do you pay to the city of Atlanta?
That is dependent upon a few things, depending on the classification of your business. Let's say, for example, restaurant versus investments versus real estate versus the NAICS code, which is a piece of the application that you have to provide, determines how you are taxed. So the tax rates go from 0.6% to 2.19%. So your classification, number of employees, and revenue will drive your percentage.
All right. This is, are you required to register for a business license even if you're already registered with the Secretary of State? Can I answer this?
Sure you can, Kelsey.
The answer is yes. Now, if you've ever like Googled how to start a business and it tells you the steps and it says, you know, get your business incorporated, and then it says file any licensings with the local municipality. That is the City of Atlanta business license. And so if you live in another city, say you're on this call, but you're actually in Cobb County, you know, whatever city, if you're in Smyrna, there's a business license for Smyrna. And so here, yes, you want to register and incorporate your business with the state, and then you register and get any, like she was saying with the food truck, any permits, any licensing, or any requirements that is required for your business locally. And so, yes, you would need your City of Atlanta business license. Right?
Very nicely done.
I'm brushing the cobwebs off. I haven't done this in a while. They said, can I get a link to the website? I will be sure to send out an email with the links to go directly to what the information they were sharing. And so you have a link directly to the City of Atlanta's occupational tax certificate page.
Kelsey, I would ask that you also sharing the link to the revenue page that has a plethora of information as it relates to the business license process as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, it says, so if I use Regus, which is a provider for temporary office space, can I use the address they provide? I think they're saying like, not co-working spaces, but if I have an office space, a virtual office that has a physical location in the city.
You can.
Yes, you can. Got it. What if you have a registered agent located in Atlanta, but your work is outside of office? Wait, what if you have a registered agent located in the city of Atlanta, but you work out of a home office in Gwinnett County?
So I would suggest that you apply for the license in Gwinnett County. If that's going to be your business address, you will need to apply in the jurisdiction where the business is actually located.
Correct. If I previously had a City of Atlanta business license 5+ years ago, would I be considered a renewal, or will I be applying for a new business license?
So if you had a business license in the city over 5 years ago that hasn't been renewed, we are going to require that you bring that account current by way of either filing a final close on that business if that business is no longer operating and you need to operate a different business type, or you will need to bring that license current, depending on whether or not you've been operating from the last time you actually had a license.
Got it. Somebody's trying to get an exception. They're saying, I have revenue that I will show, but it's not from the City of Atlanta. How do I get an exception? Like, how is it not required for me to claim all my revenue, even if I have this one location in the City of Atlanta?
I'm not clear on it. Repeat the question, Kelsey. Maybe I just didn't.
My business is in the City of Atlanta, but my revenue comes from all over the country. Is there an exception so I don't have to claim all that revenue?
So what you should be reporting in Atlanta is your Georgia revenue, because you're paying taxes on revenue that you generated in the state of Georgia. All of those other places over the country where you're operating, you should have a license in those jurisdictions. So you would provide, let's say for an example, you were providing a tax return and your tax return is in Smyrna, Georgia, but you have businesses all over the city of Atlanta. If you have those businesses registered throughout the state of Georgia, then you can provide that full tax return, but then we would need a revenue breakdown for the location in the city of Atlanta. Does that make sense?
Okay. We're looking at I'm a new and somewhat confused business. So all this information is based on a business startup, right?
So she went over the new business and then she also went over renewals. If you're a new startup business, the first portion of the presentation applied to you. So if you want to drill that question down a little bit further to be more specific as to what you're asking, I'll be glad to tell you what you need to know.
They asked, can you go over the financial statements again? Which ones that we can use to upload when renewing our business license?
When you're renewing an income statement, a profit and loss statement, or your prior year 2020, your prior year federal and state tax return. So we would expect to see the full tax return for the prior year. For new businesses, you're not required to provide any financial documentation because you technically shouldn't have any.
Got it. Also, the documents to be notarized with your driver's license, if those are already on file and the information not changed, you have to submit that again?
Not with the renewal. We only require it with the new application, or if we received it and there's something wrong with it, maybe it's incomplete, then we would request that you provide it during the renewal process. But other than that, you should only have to provide it one time. And as that startup.
If my business suite number changed, but it's still in the same building, do I need to update the business license and do zoning all over again?
Yes, you do. So a lot of people think that zoning is just to make sure that your address is in the city of Atlanta, but they're a little bit deeper than that. They also make sure that the business activity that you are performing can be performed at the requested address. So yes, it has to be rezoned.
What if you lived in another state for your 2024 taxes?
Say that again.
Question is, what if you lived in another state for your 2024 taxes?
But operating a business in the city of Atlanta?
That would be my follow-up question. Let me help this. So for clarity, when you're applying for a City of Atlanta occupational tax certificate, business license, we are talking about where your business resides. And so I think when even the clarity about where your revenue is coming from, your revenue, you may have sold t-shirts across the world, but the money is all funneling back to the business, and the business is located in the city of Atlanta. And so that revenue is the revenue that your business made, and it's happened to be here in the city. If your taxes were filed in 2024 in another state, was your business in Atlanta? It doesn't sound like it would be. And so you'd be probably filing for a new business if you are located in the city of Atlanta. And I would recommend that you use the pre-zoning document first to check to see if your actual address is in the city of Atlanta. And I'm saying the address being your business address. If you're using your home address because you have a home office, then your home would need to be in the city of Atlanta. Hope that clarifies it. I'm renewing a business license and I have 0 employees and I will not have tax returns by February 10th. What can I do to send in lieu?
You would send a profit and loss or an income statement that reflects your 2024 revenue.
And also claim yourself as 1 employee.
Correct.
Can my accountant apply for the business license for me? If so, does he or she need to be authorized, and what kind of ID does the accountant need to provide, if any?
So they do have to be an authorized agent on the account. So I've known Natasha walk you all through that in the beginning of the presentation. There's several spots for you that add different individuals to that license. So that person would have to be a registered agent, meaning that they would have to register their email address on the site, and then we would have to link that email address to the license in question. So there can be multiple agents registered for one account.
All right. Another question for clarity. It says, I want to be clear that if I register my online business with the Secretary of State, is it or is it not necessary to register for a business license within the city of Atlanta?
If you're going to be generating revenues throughout the city of Atlanta, you must also apply for a city of Atlanta business license.
Thank you. This says, I have a legal services company that I operate from home and previously had a City of Atlanta business license, but now I live in a historic district and the zoning tool says businesses are not allowed. What do I need to do to renew my license?
That's a great question, and that's a stopper for me. So it sounds like we have a issue with the zoning process. So I would think that zoning would need to be involved in that question, because if it's a restriction there, that's going to be a zoning issue.
Okay. And so they need to come to the city hall, go onto the third floor and go talk to zoning? Or talk
Yes, sir.
and
Yes.
go up to zoning.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it. This says, what is the process when adding a second location when you already have an Atlanta business license?
So there's no such thing. If you have multiple business locations within the city of Atlanta, each facility has to have its own license. That's important because if code enforcement visits your business and you don't have a business license displayed for that particular location, you could be subject to citation. So for example, we have multiple Popeyes chickens in the city of Atlanta. Each of those businesses, some of them are owned by the same owner, but each establishment has its own business license.
Got it. What if you have not filed your 2024 taxes yet? Can you use your 2023 tax returns or just ensure your taxes are done by or before February 15th? Just a hypothetical question.
So absolutely not. We will not accept the 2023 tax returns. Remember, it's for the revenue generated the prior year, which is why we will accept a profit and loss or income statement in lieu of the tax return.
Just say absolutely not. What is the time frame for issuing the business license? I applied in November and I paid all my fee invoices, and my online dashboard states license cannot be printed at this time. License has not been issued.
So typically, going through the back office process, it can take anywhere from 30 to 45 days, sometimes longer, depending on what the situation is. If there's a need to expedite the license, you do have an option to come into City Hall and actually walk it through the process yourself and get it processed same day. But if this one was done in November, I'm curious to know, we've probably sent some notifications indicating why we aren't able to process the license, because we do that through our process. So I'm curious to know why. If you want to, I don't know, Kelsey, maybe have them provide you with the account number and the business name. I'll be glad to look into it for them specifically. But it sounds like we've probably sent some correspondences that may have gone to your spam or junk mail, and you're just not aware.
Okay. So you hear that if you have your business license number, you can put that into the Q&A. I'll take it down and I'll follow up for you. And we'll make sure we figure out what's going on and get you the information you need. This person said, I received a federal grant funding for my training program. Is this considered the same as revenue?
Yes, it is.
What if I've been doing business in Atlanta but never applied for a business license?
Let me suggest that you hurry and get that application submitted. You're going to have to do a multi-year application at this point, meaning that when you apply, we'll go ahead and send it to zoning. You're going to be required to submit tax returns for all of the years that you've been operating in order for us to bring the business license current. So you will start off as a new application, but will fall into the multi-year category once we review the application.
No, I think Kelsey dropped off for a second. Oh, there you go.
Got kicked out. That was wild. Let me go back to these questions. My apologies. Uh-oh. I don't see the questions anymore.
Uh-oh.
Here, I can answer a couple of them, and let me see if you got kicked out, let me make sure, Kelsey, that I'm a, let's see.
Put me back as host.
Yes, you're back as co-host. Let me know if you see the questions now.
Okay. I see one.
You just see one?
I just see one. Isn't that crazy?
Okay, so let me catch you up. It might just be letting you see the ones from when you logged in. So this one is from Jahari Sowert. What I've been doing, what if I've been doing business in Atlanta, but haven't applied for a business license yet?
We just answered
That's the one we just
Got
did.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, that was the multi-year. Sorry.
Yeah.
What permits and licenses do you need if your new business is an independent media studio?
None.
Okay, so none. Where do you get a profit and loss statement from? Can I make it myself, or does it have to be made by the bank or an accountant?
You can make it yourself. And what I typically tell people, because we have a lot of very small business owners who are just not familiar with those documents, if you just go out to Google profit and loss or income statement, use that as a model to create your own.
Okay, awesome. And does that profit and loss statement need to be notarized?
It does not.
Okay, does not have to be notarized. Okay, do you need a business license to operate a retail pop-up shop? We host temporary installations. I had a business license, but it expired in 12 of 2024.
You do need it, and you would renew it on the portal before February 15th of this year.
Katina, I'm gonna make you co-host too so that you can see some of these questions in case you have need any clarity. Is there any capital startup options?
I think that one's
This
out
is
of my
more
scope.
for Kelsey. And Kelsey, do you just want to remind them to tune in again next month for the small business webinar?
Yes. And so this particular webinar is specific to the City of Atlanta business license, because in order to get funding from Invest Atlanta, you would need a City of Atlanta business license. And so we want to make sure we clarify that and let you guys know how to apply for it, because the renewal period ends on February 15th. But if you're a new business, you're just starting off, I don't think that time stamp is for you. But at the beginning of the year, I want, like the lady just found out, she had a business license that expired in December 31st. And so every business that renews at the same time, December 31st renews, you have until February 15th. But next month, we'll be talking about small business loans and how to get small business funding from Invest Atlanta.
Awesome. And we're going to do that every month on the third Tuesday of the month. So check out our events page on our website, and you'll be able to register for it in advance. Zoom will send you reminders in advance of the webinar so that you don't forget to attend. This one says, I have a mentorship organization in Ohio, but I moved here to Atlanta. I still do work in Ohio and get grants with Ohio to run programming through my nonprofit and for profit. What do I need to do to expand the organization here?
You would first need to register with the Georgia Secretary of State to operate your business in the state of Georgia. And then if it's going to be in the city of Atlanta, you will also need to apply for both that nonprofit and for-profit application with the city of Atlanta.
How long do you have to renew your business name before it is dissolved?
So, that sounds like a Georgia Secretary of State question. We don't dissolve the business names. So that's going to be for the Georgia SOS.
Okay. If you are a realtor and get an LLC, is an Atlanta business license required?
It is.
How do I get an exclusion for the revenue that is not generated in the city of Atlanta? When you answered earlier, you did not speak to the fact that there is only one line to report revenue.
So typically, as I mentioned before, there are several businesses that have either multiple locations or they operate in multiple states. When you submit, you might send a consolidated tax return or a consolidated profit and loss statement, but then we would also need you to break that down further and provide a revenue breakdown for the revenue that's generated in the state of Georgia or the city of Atlanta.
I also wanted to know if I change my address, if I have moved outside the city of Atlanta, however, my P.O. box is still in Atlanta. I'm sorry, if I have to change my address, if I have moved outside of the city of Atlanta, but my P.O. box is still in Atlanta.
I'm sorry, you would. We do have businesses that operate out of different cities that have that are generating revenue in the city of Atlanta under a city of Atlanta business license.
Okay. I'm a massage therapist practicing out of some salon suites with 10 plus other businesses renting booths as well. Does this require zoning for my type of work?
It does.
Okay. There is only one line to enter revenue. That was more of a statement than question.
Let me elaborate on that a little bit. So there
Okay.
is only one line to enter revenue. So that line, you will be entering the revenue for the state of Georgia or the city of Atlanta only. So even if you're providing a consolidated return or a consolidated profit and loss statement, again, that additional breakdown piece is imperative because what's on that breakdown should match the information that you're going to be entering for your renewal.
Awesome. Who is liable or responsible to pay the generated revenue? Is it the business entity or the business person who filed the application?
Who is liable to pay it? I would say it's the business owner. Whoever owns the business is ultimately responsible. However, we do have businesses that have law firms or other agencies that actually apply for their business and manage their business accounts for them. But ultimately, it's on the owner to ensure that everything that's required for that business is where it needs to be.
Okay. Let's see. As for my new exempt nonprofit, I will need to get a business license as well, correct?
Yes, just make sure you apply for the nonprofit business type.
Okay. This person obviously asked a question prior to this, and she says, I'm speaking about the 2024 tax returns that was mentioned. Mine are in another state for last year.
So that's fine if they're in another state. As you all, well, you may or may not be aware, if you're operating or if you're generating revenue in a different state, you should also have a state tax return for each state that you're operating that business in. So although your federal tax returns may have been from, I don't know, Iowa, if you have business that you're operating in the state of Georgia, you're required to report those revenues in the state of Georgia as well. So you should still have a 500 or a 600 tax return for the state of Georgia that should be submitted with those, with that federal tax return.
Okay, awesome. Kelsey, are you caught up yet? Do you see any? What's the first question you see?
My first question is from 6:53 p.m. Mr. Tyler says, is an online business where the amount of business tax that I pay as an Atlanta business vary according to revenue accumulated or none?
I'm sorry, Kelsey, can you repeat that
I
question?
will. As an online business, will the amount of business tax that I pay as an Atlanta business vary according to the revenue I accumulate?
Yes, all business taxes are determined based on your gross receipts that you report and your number of employees and your tax class.
Okay, Kelsey, I have 3 more before that.
Okay.
So I'll just run through those real quick. And let me just say really quickly to Jean Kennedy, I copied down your application number as recommended by Katina and sent it to Kelsey, so he has that information. It may be a good idea though for you to send an email address or a telephone number as well. You can type that here. Nobody else sees that except for you.
Ms. Kennedy, I wrote the account number down as well. So
Okay.
if the registered email address on the account, I will respond to that email address.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Katina.
All right.
I'm speaking about the 2024 tax returns. Oh, I said that already. I'm sorry. I registered my business using my home address here in Atlanta some 5 years ago, but ended up opening my business or opening my first retail store in Smyrna. Now, after 2 years, I have since closed that one retail location and plan to continue the same business from my Atlanta residence, but now more so online. Working in Smyrna, I had a City of Smyrna business license, but I'm guessing I now must have a City of Atlanta business license. Is that correct?
So let me say this. If you have a Smyrna business license that's valid and you're operating, you do not have to have a City of Atlanta business license to do business in Atlanta. The requirement is that the business license is issued in the jurisdiction where the business is located. So any license anywhere in the state of Georgia will permit you to do business in the city of Atlanta, as long as it's not like vending and stuff, because there's a whole lot of other criteria that comes with that. But you can do business in Atlanta with a Smyrna business license. You don't have to have a business license in Smyrna, a business license in Atlanta, unless of course you have brick and mortar in Atlanta. But if your Smyrna license is valid, you can do business in the city of Atlanta with that license.
And by brick and mortar, you mean a store,
building.
a building.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay. When will the city send out the 1099 for my business?
The city, that's not a business license question. I'm sorry. We don't manage 1099s. So it may be that you need to reach AP.
AP is
I'm sorry, accounts payable.
accounts payable. Okay, awesome. Let's see. I think I've answered that. I have answered that one already. Kelsey, I think you're caught up. Is April Harper should be the first one or the next one that you
Yes.
see? Okay, perfect.
April, come on down. I'm kidding. What if you started an LLC in Georgia in 2022 and it has never worked, but you want it to work now? How would I apply for a license in the city of Atlanta? You will apply for your business license.
Yeah, as long as your Georgia Secretary of State is active and current, you can apply in the city of Atlanta and we'll get it processed.
Let's get that business started in 2025. Let's go.
Real quick, Kelsey, before you ask the next one, I just want to remind people that we're going to send out a link to this recording to everyone who attended this webinar. And Katina, is it okay to share the PowerPoint presentation as well so that they have a copy, or is there someplace online they can get it?
That's fine. The PowerPoint presentation online, but as I mentioned before, there's tons of information on our Office of Revenue website. We have some really neat videos out there that can walk you through the step-by-step. But I don't mind you sharing the PowerPoint at all. That's perfectly okay.
Awesome. So I will send that out in PDF format or Kelsey will send that out in PDF format, as well as the link to the recording. I know some people have dropped off, but I'm sure they'll still appreciate the information being sent to them, so they have it on hand. So take it away, Kelsey.
All right. This is how will you identify location for a pop-up retail business?
So your pop-up retail business is probably typically going to be your home address operating as the administrative office. If that makes, I hope that answered your question. So you won't have a license for each pop-up location. Your business location will be your home office as your business location that you can use for those pop-up businesses or pop-up shops.
Got it. It says, I was trying to apply to renew for multiple years, but it's now not letting me.
So that process is, you can submit an application. Let me just say that you can submit an application by way of doing a renewal. The system is going to auto default it for the last year that you actually renewed. You just need to make sure that you provide all of your tax returns with that multi-year application. There's also a paper application that can be provided, but we're trying to do everything systematically now. So let me suggest that you try to do it on the system by way of just submitting a renewal like you would any other renewal, and the system will automatically classify it as multi-year required because it recognizes that there's some years missed.
Got it. It says, I have a raw juice bar business and I'm looking to have my juice business within a shipping container. Which loan program would best fit for that? That's a great question. And right now we're talking about business licensing. We will have a business loans conversation next month. However, when you get the email from me tomorrow with the recap of this, feel free to respond to me and I'll make sure I can connect you so we can answer the questions about any loan programs you need to continue your business. To be clear, if you start an independent media studio, what license or permit do you need?
At this point, you don't need any license. Well, you would need a general business license, of course, but any permits, I'm not aware of any permits that are required for that business type.
All right. There's a lot of for clarifications on these last 8 questions. For clarification, if I run my mentorship program from Ohio, what documents would I need to register with the Secretary of State? Would I need to register as a new LLC and nonprofit? I feel like we answered that question, but for clarification.
Okay, so no, you don't have to register as a new LLC. There's an option for a foreign, I can't remember exactly what it is, but when I say foreign, it means that your business is located in a different state, but you're operating in the city of Atlanta. So you have a foreign entity. So
Got it.
Yeah.
Ms. Myers says, can you explain this e-verify process one more time?
So e-verify, if you have 10 or fewer employees, you are exempt from e-verify. If you have 10 or more full-time employees, you are required to register with the federal government for an e-verify number. You can find the link for that website on our City of Atlanta Office of Revenue website to actually apply for that e-verify number.
Got it. Thank you. It says, I'm currently operating from a shared kitchen space and looking to transition to a shipping container on the Beltline. Never mind. Yes, our loan programs, when I send an email out, respond to that email and I'll connect you with our loan team. Next month, we'll be covering small business loans. But I will tell you, if you have not applied for your City of Atlanta business license, or you don't currently have a City of Atlanta business license, you will not be able to get a loan from the city of from Invest Atlanta, because that's one of our requirements. I'm looking at a property in South Fulton. Is that part of Atlanta zoning area? You need to use the pre-zoning link that's on the website to check.
That's right.
Because you may be on the line.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that's not Atlanta,
Right.
but it may be. But you got to use the pre-zoning and it'll verify your address. Would I file a DBA if I have an EIN, but wish to operate as an LLC and all business as the subsidiaries?
Yes, you should apply for that DBA if you're going to have an LLC operating many businesses under that LLC.
All right, coming down to the last two questions. I am planning to operate multiple mobile carts. Do you know if each cart is required to have a separate business license? This is for a restaurant that currently exists with a City of Atlanta business license.
Now, I'm going to defer that one to Natasha.
Okay. Any carts that you have, you would definitely have to speak to Excise Tax Division. They're the ones who actually manage the carts with city planning. And that would be considered a vending license. It's not necessarily a general business license, although you will still need to have one, if that makes sense. But we can give you that information to that division, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we got more questions about mobile cart stuff. I do personally. We'll continue that conversation. Last question. It says, sorry for repeating this question. I'm looking at a property in South Fulton for two businesses. Is that part, again, Mr. Benton, if you use the pre-zoning, you'll be able to see if the two properties that you're looking for or the properties that you're looking for, whether they're in the city of Atlanta or not. And then that will determine what local municipality you then want to figure out where your business license should be registered in. So if it ends up being in the city of Atlanta, then yes, you will go through the process we've been talking about. But if it happens to be like College Park has its own process. East Point, own process. Hateville, own process. Hope that was clear. Any more questions? No. All right. Well, listen, y'all, I'm so thankful for you taking this snowy Tuesday evening to spend with us to talk about how to make sure your business either gets their business license or renews their business license and is compliant with the city of Atlanta. Thank you, Katina. Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Michelle, for being on here with us.
You're welcome. Kelsey, before you end, I'm so sorry. The very last question that came in was, will there be any upcoming webinars about building credit for a small business? There is an Understanding Your Credit webinar on Thursday that would apply to anyone, whether you're looking to purchase a home or looking to start your own business. It's a webinar that will take you through reading your credit report, understanding it, understanding more about the scores, how student loans impact your credit, that sort of thing. If you go to our events page and look on our calendar for events, you'll see House Rules for Home Ownership, Understanding Your Credit for the 23rd. It's a Zoom webinar. It will take place at 5 p.m. on Thursday. So I just wanted to give you that information as well. Sorry, Kelsey.
No, thank you. Thank you. Where was I? There's other webinars that we have with Invest Atlanta that educate you on a few things. And so I encourage you to go to our investatlanta.com page, go down to events and look at the events. We have webinars planned out for months. And so we have small business webinars, talk about funding. We'll have webinars about credit, about trying to buy a house or getting down payment assistance, and all these things that help you as a citizen here in the city of Atlanta be better with getting homes or starting your business. And that's what we're trying to do here. I thank everybody that joined us this evening. You will receive an email with the recording and the PowerPoint from the presentation we did today and the contact information for the individuals that presented. So if you don't have any more questions, we appreciate you all. You have a great evening. Be safe, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Kelsey. You all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, guys.